Reaperman here, and today we've got just kind of a little practice session on San Francisco Rush 2049 Special Edition. And tonight I'm going to be doing one of the Special Edition tracks, which is Dusk. As you can see, my best time for the race is 5:31.811, and my best lap is 1:38.437. I am not brilliant at this track. In fact, I have trouble just surviving, and I have trouble with checkpoint timeouts as well. So this is probably not going to be my most brilliant gameplay. This is by far my weakest track on the game here. And I'm just trying to feel it out. Later on, I'll go on YouTube and I'll actually figure out some better courses and maybe kind of feel out when the shortcuts open up and that kind of stuff. In fact, most of this session is going to be so relaxed. We're going to be playing with drones on, so 30 FPS. All right, so first pin in. Roll over to track 7. Going to pick this car with advanced handling. I'm going to have catch-up turned off, but I am going to keep drones on. And I am going to do automatic.
3, 2, 1.
Now this part of the race kind of brings back a little bit of that feeling from the first San Francisco Rush game. And I'm going to land it. We landed it. All right, now there's a shortcut off to the right that I'm going to try and make, but I may get rear-ended or completely screw this up. Woo! And this is going to be a double loop. And these two shortcuts are actually closed on this lap. They'll open on the second one. And I'm actually clutching off of those jumps because, one, big air is sweet, even though it kind of hurts my time, but I'm hoping to get rid of some of those bounces. Now, if you notice the trees in the background, they have a little transparency problem coming up here. Oh. Actually, first up, let's deal with, this door is always open on the first lap for me, but I've got to figure out the pattern for it. Woo. Oh, terrible. That particular path is my favorite through there. I'm not entirely sure it's the fastest. So up ahead we see the transparency problem where the trees, instead of shining through to the layer behind them, they actually shine all the way through to the backdrop there. And let's take the shortcut again. Perk. Alright, let's try and land in the middle of the track because we're going to try and go over here. I'm too slow. The goal being to get up there into that little meat grinder area that I've never survived yet. Well, maybe once. So I also lift here. There is a little pattern of lifting I do. And I'm flat out around this one. And then I do a little lift here, so I don't go off into the weeds. And then one final lift over this jump here. And that's so I don't go skidding off into the wall. I'm sure there's probably a better way through that. Now, I don't know if this gate's going to be open. I don't know the pattern on it. No, it's closed. So we're going to go the long way around. I have had it open for me before on other laps. So it is not a lap thing, it's a timer thing. And I have a feeling that if I didn't suck so much at this level, the gate would always be open for me. And I do a lift here so I can land straight. Kind of pull myself around that corner. That was terrible landing, by the way. 2 in the bag. Woohoo! Up and around, and up and around. Pop down here, these two have closed up again. For good luck, I do clutch over those, and it seems I get the most height if I just barely tweak that top bump. That was a lift and a flat out. Flat out, here's my other lift, and my last lift is over this little bump. Now, big question, is that gate open? It is open. There's all kinds of ways to take this area. I tend to prefer this one. I mean, obviously when there's not a train in the way that's going to kill me. I've also taken to playing cockpit view in this game pretty much exclusively. And that's just because with the steering wheel, it just feels more natural.
First place.
Yay! Alright, so as you can see, I am good enough to beat the drones, but I'm not at all brilliant on this track. So we're going to go ahead and do this one again. So here's the part of the course that does not repeat. Kind of reminds us of the first track in the first San Francisco Rush. Ooh, spicy. All right, now this green car is probably going to rear end me because I am slowing down. I'm not 100% sure it's best to do that on the first lap, because it seems like they carry a good amount of speed out of their longer course. Ooh. You can also cut across there, but I used to do that on the Dreamcast, and doing it on the arcade just never seemed quite natural. Alright, let's do this. And that was full send over those because on the first lap we have a pretty good idea that that doorway was actually open. And I made the same mistake. In my last race on the first lap, I did manage to sneak in underneath that train. Off the gas. Ooh. Man, that little transparency effect does kind of bug me. You can even see buildings through it. Alright, so I'm sitting in third place here on this one. Ooh. Might be in first, might be. Nope, second. Clutch, clutch, and clutch, but I probably don't want to be that high there, actually. So that's what the clutch does in this game, is supposedly it extends your jumps out longer, and supposedly you get a speed boost if you clutch correctly combined with the manual shifter. And that's what happens if you forget to do your lifts, as you go off the track there and lose a whole bunch of time. At least I do, because I don't know how to take it right. Now, I do not know if this gate is going to be open or not. It is not. Hard brake panic turn there, and let's take the long way. Now this has a bunch of these turns where you have to kind of pre-turn so you can straighten your wheel out. And then it's got one of these little cutout notches on an uphill. Kind of reminds me a lot of one of the tracks in Rush 2, Extreme Racing USA. Fantastic game, by the way. If you skip Rush 2, just do yourself a favor and go back and catch up on Rush 2. I know I was grateful when I did. I totally skipped Rush 2. And was pleasantly surprised to see that it was a very good game. Everything was wrong with that. I don't know why I keep going for height on that. If you win the prize, all you do is explode on that sign. And even if I were to actually make it onto that upper roadway, the prize for getting up there for me is also exploding. Alright, big question. Is it open? Nope. Brakes. So again, these corners are turn early, straighten, turn early, straighten. And then this one you can kind of cut. I think it's the Colorado track in Rush 2 this reminds me of, where you have a whole bunch of those turn and straightens in a row. And this should be it.
Third place.
Alright, so now I'm actively getting worse. It's time to try this guy again here. Let's see, my best lap there was 151. That's a long way from 138, 437 there.
You have selected race time. 3, 2, 1.
Thought I had that one. So this is an awfully tricky course. Oh, geez. Well, I won the prize. I'm gonna have to stop clutching on that top jump there. And this is my over the hump lift, and now I'm flat out on all the rest of these curves. Then we clutch, boom. Tell you what, for a change, since I know I'm probably going to explode if I go over there, okay, I guess we're going to take this way. That did not work out as I had planned. There is a way to get down there safely. I just am not the most practiced at this track. That was not going to correct itself. Gosh, the music on this level is just absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to go for those, by the way, and I'm not going to clutch over this. I hope I can clear that last bump. Nope. Although that did work out very well with that angle on the landing. That kind of luck never happens twice in this game. Forgot to do my lift over that little rise. Yeah, oh, that opened up. I need to figure out the timing on that door. This will let me take this path instead of that one. Although I question whether it's worth exploding to do that. So far as I know, on the arcade game, there isn't a instant death mode, which is kind of a shame because sometimes I just want to start over once I crash, and that's definitely possible on the Dreamcast, but there's no code for it, I don't believe. I believe there is a code for not respawning, but you just have to sit there and watch the race until your time runs out. And that's no fun either. And I believe that's only for multiplayer. If I recall, there is actually a code for killing yourself, but there's no code for automatically dying when you crash. At some point, I'm going to do a video on all of the cheat codes on the arcade version of this game. I found a pretty good source of them that has an awful lot of the pre-built characters in it. Just not lifting is my problem. But there's a lot of pre-built characters, and I found an old, I think it was like an Angel Fire or Tripod site or something that actually had an awful lot of all of the pre-built accounts in this game. Okay, try and land square. Let off. Then I can get more of a turn on this one. And I believe this is the end of my race.
Third place.
So that's much, well no, that 138 is my top. What was my top? 142 on that race instead of 138.4. Okay. That's going in the right direction. This is still 550 though, that's not great.
Selected track 3, 2, 1.
Gosh! Now I know at least some of the tracks have special super duper secrets that only open up if certain seemingly conditions are met. And I've only found the one on the first track. I found where the location is on the third track, but I don't know how to open it. It's down in a ravine under a bridge. There's some... I'm just not doing well at the first lap. So down in a ravine under the bridge, there's some bars across a tunnel with some coins behind it. So I gotta figure out how to open that. There's some coins on this bridge up here as I point to them and drive off the road. Boom. First lift. Flat down. Second lift. And the last lift. Then full send up over these, because that door is definitely open. You know what? Let's just take this one. That carries a lot of speed. Oops, I keep catching that. Now I will remind everybody that catch-up is turned off. This is one of the few games where you can actually turn the rubber banding on the game off. Okay, I think the reason I keep catching these edges is my perspective from the first-person cam. Because I've been doing that an awful lot. I don't know, maybe other cars have a different shape to them and don't get caught as easy. Those were open. Sapoosh. And there's that shortcut. Lift. Power. And the last lift. Now, this is lap 2, so I don't think that gate's going to be open for me. It is. That gate's open for me. Okay, let's take this path again. There's that tricky corner from the long way. Oh! Boom! Yep, CPU player blew up. I've heard people complain in the game about how the game skips you ahead once you explode, and that's to keep from punishing you from trying new things. But it's an advantage it also gives the CPU players, so I find I don't mind it at all. I do notice the CPU players in this take a different path. Not necessarily in this level, but in certain levels they take a slightly different path than in the console versions. Specifically in track 3, they go the wide way instead of the kind of cut-off way to go down the main bridge corridor. Okay, now big question as always, is that door going to be open? No. Lift, get down, go through this corner. I'm in third, but there's actually a decent chance one of the cars in front of me is going to explode on that last bit of track. Is it going to be you? Are you going to explode? Nope. Nobody exploded.
Third place.
Looks like my big lap is 148.6. 148.612, I should say. So I'm 10 seconds off my best lap.
You have selected track 7.
You know what? Let's try a little different car. I don't actually know if the cars drive different in this game. I do know that they are shaped different in terms of snagging on certain things. Boom. Alright, in fourth place, let's try and slow down. And keep catching it with my rear end. If you slow down too much for that one, you will get rear-ended by one of the other cars. And if that doesn't kill you, getting punted into the wall will. Perfect. I'm definitely liking not clutching here. Generally speaking, I don't usually clutch on jumps with an uphill before them. But on this track, I kind of suck, so I do it at 2 spots. I do it at this one as well. Usually I only clutch on flat jumps. Woo. And the reason for that is, generally speaking, the sooner you can get on the ground, all other things being equal, the faster you can get on your way and take off. Now there are still reasons to extend a jump out if you can maybe miss one of those little bumps that sends you up into the air again.
2 laps to go.
And if you're just extending a flat ramp, you're not really adding a lot of height to it. Alright, we're in a good spot. Let's try this one. Still only 130. I don't think we can make it. No. Lift. And flat out for this one. Lift here. And the last lift. Now is the door going to be open? Door is not open. Somehow I am in first place though. Was in first place. dude. Messed that up. Okay, I will get better at this track. And that was a clutch, so a little bit of a risky move. Unnecessarily so. But you know what? Sometimes sweet jumps are still sweet jumps, even if they are probably slow and dangerous. And the last lift. Does everybody else lift 3 times in there? There's probably a way I can cut some of those out. And I don't always do a full lift. Sometimes I'll just, especially on that last one, I'll often just lift up enough to not go completely air the track. Lift here so I can kind of get around this. The jump physics in this game are just spectacular.
Third place.
Whew. I mean, really, San Francisco Rush games are to jumping what Ridge Racer games are to drifting. They are just absolutely brilliant. In fact, despite the fact that I really suck at this track, I would say this is a near perfect game. And the only thing keeping it from being absolutely perfect is that there isn't more of it. More tracks, more cars, could always use more of that stuff. And at least on the console versions, N64 and Dreamcast, you actually do kind of get other tracks because you can race them in reverse, and they've actually got a whole different set of shortcuts for reverse. It's just absolutely brilliant. And unfortunately, when they brought the 2 new Dreamcast tracks to the special edition, they didn't also port all of the changes to the tracks.
Play it now.
It would have been really great if they had incorporated a reverse mode, but that didn't happen. And you know what? I think I'm pretty much done with my practicing on that one track. I can only do so many laps before I burn out. Besides, I'm definitely getting worse. So until next time, Reaper Man out.